Hi everyone, it's Loza from the Baking Mad Gym Addict. Thank you so much for joining me for another meal prep session. Here you can see 11 meals and 17 snacks which I put together in around 2 hours. My groceries for this week look like this. I bought eggs, 550 grams of chicken breast, 550 grams of fresh fish. For my friends not on the metric system, 550 grams works out at about 19.5 ounces. I also bought 425 grams of tuna, which is about 15 ounces, 3 avocados, 125 grams of raw almonds, 1.5 kilos of sweet potatoes, 2 kilos of green peas, 1 kilo of blueberries and 2 apples. From my kitchen cupboards I also grabbed some Quest bars, some Isoway protein powder and some natural peanut butter. Ta-da! The finished result looked like this. Each of these boxes has around 350 calories. I usually eat about 6 times a day at 8 in the morning, 11:30 in the morning, 1 p.m, 4 p.m, 6:30 p.m and again at 9 p.m. If you want to see what I eat in a typical day, I've posted a link to a previous video for you below. I visited Paddy's Market with my husband this week in Sydney to buy eggs, sweet potatoes, almonds, apples and avocados to save some money on my groceries. After picking up some bits and pieces at Paddy's, I popped into Coles supermarket to buy the rest of the food like the chicken breasts, fish, tinned tuna, frozen blueberries and frozen peas. I spent around 45 Australian dollars in total on groceries. If you split the amounts between the 11 boxes, this works out at around 4 Australian dollars per box, which is the equivalent of £2.11 if you live in Great Britain, or $3 American and 23 cents if you live in the US of A. This price only includes the main items on my grocery list and does not include items which I already had at home like protein powder, the Quest bars and other staple items in my fridge and cupboards. So first of all, I preheated the oven to 200 degrees Celsius, which is 400 degrees Fahrenheit. I then started off with the sweet potatoes. I baked some of the sweet potatoes in their skin and used the rest of the sweet potatoes to make sweet potato medallions. I washed and scrubbed all of the sweet potatoes before drying them with a paper towel. For the baked sweet potatoes, I pricked those bad boys all over with a fork and sprayed them lightly with olive oil to coat the skins. They then get popped into the oven for around 50 minutes. With the remaining sweet potatoes, I sliced them into medallion shapes and seasoned them with some chilli powder, some cumin seeds, a pinch of cloves and some salt and pepper. Before popping the sweet potato medallions into the oven for 35 minutes, I sprayed them with some olive oil. Once the sweet potatoes are in the oven, I move on to my chicken breasts. I started off with removing bits of fat from the breast meat. Then I laid down some cling wrap. Next I laid down my chicken breasts before topping them with another layer of cling wrap. Now this is what I like to do to get my chicken breasts soft and juicy. I take a meat mallet and I gently bash up and flatten the chicken breasts until they're about 1 centimetre thick. Tenderising the meat helps to break up the stringy fibres. The reason why I cover the chicken in cling wrap is because I don't want to cause a chicken shower with bits of meat flying about all over the shop. Once the chicken's had a good pounding, I squeeze fresh juice from half a lemon over the breasts and sprinkle on some barbecue chicken seasoning and some dried herbs. Once my griddle pan is hot, I pop the chicken breasts on top. The key is to try and make sure not to overcook them. It takes me about 5 minutes on each side to cook the meat on my grill pan. I cut through the chicken in the middle to check it's fully cooked with no pink bits. If you want to be extra clever at this stage, you could wrap the chicken in some tinfoil for 5 to 10 minutes to rest the chicken and let it become even more juicier. But in my excitement, I forgot to record this part to show you. Sorry! Check how tender, soft and moist the chicken breast meat is. Absolutely exquisite. Now I start prepping the fish. I squeeze the other half of the lemon over the 4 fish fillets and sprinkle on some fish seasoning which I purchased from Paddy's Market. This seasoning has sage, rosemary, garlic, onion and oregano, or oregano depending on how you pronounce it. I then also sprinkle some nice sesame seeds over the fish. Next I pop some coconut oil into a hot pan and cook the fish for about 3 minutes on each side until they're fully cooked through. Once the fish is done, that gets set aside. By now your sweet potato medallions should be ready to be taken out of the oven. I leave the whole sweet potatoes to remain in the oven to continue baking. I put my frozen peas into some hot water. I experimented by adding a veggie stock cube into the water just to see if it would add extra flavour to the peas, but it didn't, so you can skip this part. Once the water has bubbled for a couple of minutes, I drain the peas and put half of the peas into my Vitamix blender. I had some rocket leaves in the fridge and so I chopped up a handful. Some of you have told me that this is called arugula in America, which I think is a pretty cool word. Arugula. It just rolls off the tongue. Because rocket leaves have quite an intense peppery mustardy taste, I decided to add this to the blender along with 1 tablespoon of natural peanut butter and some salt and pepper. Once those ingredients have been whizzed up, you'll see that I have a kind of pea mash, which is pretty tasty. I'm going to serve my pea mash with my juicy chicken breasts, but I reckon it would be pretty nice spread on some crackers too. The whole sweet potatoes should be fully baked and ready to be taken out of the oven now. Check out the awesome yummy goodness oozing out. Heaven on a tray right there. I carefully cut the sweet potatoes in half lengthways and scoop out some of the flesh. The empty sweet potato boats get sprayed with olive oil and popped back into the oven for a further 15 minutes. I season the sweet potato flesh with salt and pepper. I stir in 1 tablespoon of an organic golden soya mayonnaise, which has a really nice lemon and honey taste to it. At the last minute, I also decided to add a quick dash of caramelized balsamic vinegar before throwing in the contents of my tuna tin. I mix this up and add a small handful of peas. Once the sweet potato skins have crisped up a bit, assemble your ingredients and start portioning them into your food boxes. This has got to be the most satisfying part of food prepping. Grab and go healthy meals ready to eat. For snacks this week, I'm going to have some boiled eggs, almonds, fruit and Quest bars. Remember that if you're new to food prepping, you don't have to throw yourself in at the deep end. You can always start small and prep just a couple of meals in advance, or chop up some veggies at the weekend so that you can at least guarantee a few healthy meals to eat during the week. The time and effort at the weekend is honestly not that bad. Please subscribe and share my channel with anyone else who is interested in food prepping, and if you have the time, I would love for you to check out my Facebook page and Instagram. Have an amazing day. Bye!